much, brother.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Who is that? Sarah Spikerman. Where are you, Sarah?
I'm in Los Angeles.
Oh, welcome. Good to meet you. Good to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Peace flags. We can all use peace.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we thank you all for being here today. We are very much blessed. We have Her Grace Mother Rukmini Devi, who will be speaking to us from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Of course, Mother is not new to us. She's been with us for a very long time. She's been so kind and merciful to us, visiting us at least once in a month to give us her love, wisdom, and knowledge. So we appreciate, we see some new faces here today. We thank you all for being here today. And this Sangha is open Monday through Friday, same time, every week, every month, and hopefully every year, till time indefinite. So Mother Rukmini Devi, we are very much grateful to have your presence today as always. And if you are ready, we may put the verse on the screen and you may start speaking.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me once again. You know, I've never physically in my Vapu form been to Africa, but I feel so fortunate to regularly be invited over Zoom. So thank you so much for welcoming this. And I see we have 2 Californians there and some other people. So wonderful. Thank you for inviting us.
Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. Thank you all for being here. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 5, text number 21. Kalam karma swabhavam cha mayesho mayaya svaya atman yadrichaya praptam vibhubhusur upadade. Kalam karma swabhavam cha mayesho mayaya svaya Atman yadrichaya praptam vibhubhusur upadade. One more time. Kalam karma swabhavam cha mayesho mayaya svaya Atman yadrichaya praptam vibhubhusur upadade. So this is Lord Brahma speaking to Narada Muni. And here is I'll say the word for word. Kalam, eternal time. Karma, the fate of the living entity. Swabhavam, nature. Cha, also. Maya, potency. Ishaha, the controller. Mayaya, by the energy. Svaya, of his own. Atman, Atmani, unto his self. Yadrichaya, independently, praptam, being merged in, vibhubhusu, appearing differently, upadade, being accepted for being created again. Translation: the Lord, who is the controller of all energies, thus creates by his potency eternal time, the fate of all living entities and their particular nature for which they were created, and he again merges them independently. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. The creation of the material world, wherein the conditioned souls are allowed to act subordinately by the Supreme Lord, takes place again and again after being repeatedly annihilated. The material creation is something like a cloud in the unlimited sky. The real sky is the spiritual sky, eternally filled with the rays of the Brahma Jyoti, and a portion of this unlimited sky is covered by the Mahatattva cloud of the material creation, in which the conditioned souls who want to lord it against the will of the Lord are put into play as they desire under the control of the Lord by the agency of his external energy. As the rainy season appears and disappears regularly, the creation takes place and is again annihilated under the control of the Lord, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 8:19. So the creation and annihilation of the material worlds is a regular action of the Lord, just to allow the conditioned souls to play as they like, and thereby create their own fate of being differently created again in terms of their independent desires at the time of annihilation. The creation, therefore, takes place at a historical date, as we are accustomed to think of everything which has a beginning in our tiny experience. The process of creation and annihilation is called anadi, which means beginningless, or without reference to date regarding the time the creation first took place. Because the duration of even a partial creation is over 8,640,000,000 years. The law of creation is, however, as mentioned in the Vedic literatures, that it is created at certain intervals and is again annihilated by the will of the Lord. The whole material or even the spiritual creation is a manifestation of the energy of the Lord, just as the light and heat of a fire are different manifestations of the fire's energy. The Lord therefore exists in his impersonal form by such expansion of energy, and the complete creation rests on his impersonal feature. Nonetheless, he keeps himself distinct from such creation as the Purnam, or complete, and so no one should wrongly think that his personal feature is not existent due to his impersonal unlimited expansions. The impersonal expansion is a manifestation of his energy, and he is always in his personal feature, despite his innumerable unlimited expansions of impersonal energies, Bhagavad Gita 9:5-7. For human intelligence, it is very difficult to conceive how the whole creation rests on his expansion of energy, but the Lord has given a very good example in the Bhagavad Gita. It is said that although the air and the atoms rest within the huge expansion of the sky, it is like the resting reservoir of everything materially created. Still, the sky remains separate and unaffected. Similarly, although the Supreme Lord maintains everything created by his expansion of energy, he always remains separate. This is accepted even by Shankaracharya, the great advocate of the impersonal form of the Absolute. He says, Narayana para vyaktat, or Narayan exists separately, apart from the impersonal creative energy. The whole creation thus merges within the body of transcendental Narayan at the time of annihilation, and the creation emanates from his body again with the same unchanging categories of fate and individual nature. The individual living entities, being parts and parcels of the Lord, are sometimes described as Atma, qualitatively one in spiritual constitution, but Because such living entities are apt to be attracted to the material creation actively and subjectively, they are therefore different from the Lord. Chant some prayers for blessings from Srila Prabhupada and our acharyas. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manubhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Sabadantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you all for being here. In this verse, make this bigger, there. In this verse, Lord Brahma is speaking to Narada Muni, but he's so very humbly pointing away from himself because Narada keeps asking, are you the supreme? Are you the original person? And so humbly, as is the mood of a devotee, Lord Brahma keeps deflecting away from himself, saying, no. And he's pointing to the supreme. He's pointing to Sri Krishna. In the purport, it said that this repeated creation and destruction allows the conditioned souls to play as they like in the material world. So the whole material creation, repeated again and again and again, is just enacted by Krishna, by his impersonal energies. He remains separate, and his personal concerns are beyond this material world. He never directly interacts with the material world. Just like material world is like a little small cloud in some corner of the whole entire spiritual sky. So I was thinking of a little comparison. Does the CEO of Toyota or Apple need to be concerned with some small petty issues in their office in Accra or Abuja? No, right? His interest is way, way beyond some petty problems in one of his thousands of international offices. So Srila Prabhupada, I believe, is asking us in this purport to zoom out. He's giving us a cosmic perspective of our situation in the material world. And he's referring back to Bhagavad Gita chapter 8, Attaining the Supreme, in text number 19. So this text in Bhagavad Gita describes this process. It says, again and again, when Brahma's day arrives, all living entities come into being, and with the arrival of Brahma's night, they are helplessly annihilated, manifest and unmanifest, over and over again, over millions of years, captivated by the spell of the material world. And then in Bhagavad Gita chapter 9, verses 5 through 7, same kind of thing is described again and again, going back into the body of the Lord as unmanifest or merged and coming out again and trying again for another few million years, having another go at material activities, right? So it sounds so cosmically sad and ominous, I would say. So I just want to focus on this one word that's in the purport that Srila Prabhupada doesn't even define, the word anadi, which means beginningless. This is our conditioned state within the material world. So there's a song that Srila Prabhupada used to sing. I want to try this. I'm not going to sing the whole song. I'm just going to sing the first verse if I can. Let me see how good I am at this. I'm just going to sing the first verse, but then I'm going to tell you the translation. This is a song from Bhaktivinoda Thakur's beautiful Gitavali. Here's the first verse. This is in the Bengali language. Make you guys bigger. Anadi karma pale hori bhavana vajale tori mare nadeki upai ei vishaya alagale dibanisi yajvale Manakabu Sukha Nahi Pai. So here's the translation of this song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He says, I have fallen into the ocean of material existence as a result of my selfish activities, which are anadi, or beginningless, without beginning. And I see no means of deliverance from this great ocean of nescience. Day and night, my heart burns from the poison of these worldly activities. And on account of this, my mind never finds any satisfaction or happiness. Hundreds and thousands of desires, like nooses around my neck, constantly give me misery and trouble. In that ocean of nescience, play the waves of materialistic tendency. In this world, there are many thieves and rogues, of whom 6 are prominent: lust, anger, envy, greed, illusion, and madness. They are causing me great fear, and in this way, my life is coming to an end. The 2 highway robbers, mental speculation and fruitive activity, have cheated me and misled me. And finally, they are throwing me into the ocean of misery. At such a time as this, my dear Krishna, you are the only friend. You are the ocean of mercy and compassion. I have no strength to get out of this ocean of nescience, so I pray to your lotus feet that you will be kind and by your strength uplift me from this ocean of suffering. Accept this fallen servant and fix me as a particle of dust on your lotus feet. Kindly give shelter to this Bhakti Vinod. O most merciful Lord, actually, I am your eternal servant. But having forgotten this, I have become bound up in the network of Maya. Wow. So does this sound maybe a little bit depressing to you? Well, I think Srila Prabhupada advises us on the path of bhakti to have a healthy pessimism toward the material world, but there's a great optimism in Krishna's mercy in the spiritual world. So yeah, so as we try to turn to Krishna and take shelter of him, we can actually break that cycle, break that spell, that chain of repeated birth and death. And the point is, what I really want to focus on in this discussion with you is, I forgot to mention at the beginning, please have a pencil or pen and note down anything that's important to you, because I'm very eager that the ladies on this chat will alternate with the very introspective philosophical men and take turns with points of what was important or questions. So please have some way of remembering what's important to you, okay? So yeah, what I want to focus on in this discussion is the fact that we've wasted so much time loitering. Prabhupada calls it loitering in this material world. And when I hear this verse and purport, I hear Srila Prabhupada's urgency. Don't waste time. finish your business in this life and get out. Go back to Godhead. So I would say that practically no other teachers say this. Most say, well, the process of gaining liberation will take many, many lives. But Srila Prabhupada's Guru Maharaj said it. He said, this material world is no place for a gentleman. Do your business and get out. And that's what Srila Prabhupada repeats to us so often. You can hear his urgency in his purports, in his talks. And, there was a morning walk. Srila Prabhupada was in, I believe it was Sydney, Australia. And they were walking by a children's playground in the, right near where they were walking. But in the distance, there was the downtown of Sydney, the skyscraper buildings. And Srila Prabhupada stopped at that playground. And he pointed to the children's playground. And he said, children's playground. And then he pointed to the skyscraper downtown of Sydney in the distance. And he said, adults playground. So both the children and the adults are playing in this material world, trying to enjoy separately from Krishna, trying to forget their eternal relationship with Krishna. So Sahadev Prabhu, I want to ask you, do they have 7-Eleven like we have in the US?
I don't think so. It depends on which country, but I'm not sure. I don't think so.
Okay. So in the US, we have a little quick stop called 7-Eleven. But the point I want to make is you usually see at the 7-Eleven, there's always usually some guys hanging out in front, loitering in the front. So whether it's 7-Eleven or just on some street corner in your neighborhood or sitting in front of a house, there's usually some people just loitering, right? Doing nothing, just shooting the breeze, maybe criticizing everybody, maybe complaining about life. Or there's the kind of proverbial ladies gossiping over the back fence. Maybe they're complaining about their husbands or their kids or their boss or their coworker. So this loitering, this is time wasting. And I want to ask you and ask myself, do you ever feel like you're a time waster? I mean, I do. This is something I'm really trying to work on, to not be a time waster in my life, trying to be more conscious of that, trying to be careful of that, trying to be observant, not to waste time, not to be loitering around in this material world. So Srila Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is summarized in Nectar of Devotion by Srila Prabhupada, in chapter 18, if you want to look it up, the chapter is called Character of One in Ecstatic Love. And one of the symptoms that's described of people who are in this mood of ecstatic love is that they don't want to waste even a moment. So isn't that amazing? I mean, it's just so practical. You think, well, ecstatic love, that's about symptoms of, horripilation and tears and all of these things. But one very practical symptom is to not want to waste any time. So there's another story I'll share with you. At a certain time, I went to Mayapur. I was sent to Mayapur by Srila Prabhupada with a group of artists. And we went there on his instruction to try to learn this art of putal, or clay doll making. And the head artist who was there leading up this group, we all went into Srila Prabhupada's room, had his darshan, asked for his blessings. And then afterwards, this head artist, the most talented of all, he was outside of Prabhupada's room and he was just kind of chatting with someone he hadn't seen in a long time, just kind of, oh, how are you? How's it going? That kind of thing that we all naturally do when we see someone if we haven't seen them for a long time. I was just doing this with Sahadev Prabhu at the Rath Yatra in Harrisburg, as a matter of fact. But anyway, Srila Prabhupada, this devotee was quite a distance from Prabhupada's earshot, but Prabhupada called him back into the room. It was amazing. Prabhupada said, he told him, he said, you will have much work to do here in Mayapur. You'll have much service to do here in Mayapur. So there will not be any time for talking. So please try to minimize your time wasting. And I had a similar story that happened with me. I was coming up to see Srila Prabhupada in his room in Los Angeles. Sarah's in Los Angeles. So yeah, so I was in Los Angeles at the temple. There was someone coming in up the stairs ahead of me. And Prabhupada said, "Oh, where's Rukmini?" And this person said, "Oh, she's always busy somewhere doing something." And Prabhupada, and then I walked in and Prabhupada saw me and he said, "Always stay busy, busy, busy." And then he went like this, like he was going to embrace. And he said, "Always stay busy, busy, busy. Otherwise, Maya will say, 'Come and play with me.'" So that was a very sweet exchange with Srila Prabhupada. So the point is that we're not supposed to be just mindlessly busybodies, like some kind of an overwound Energizer bunny. It's kind of become a maxim in ISKCON. Maybe you've heard this a million times. Work now, samadhi later. Have you ever heard that? Work now, samadhi later. But I don't really love that expression. And I keep thinking, well, why not try to serve sincerely now and pray for some authentic taste for chanting now also? And isn't that a more attractive proposition than work, samadhi later, work now, samadhi later? So I think, in my opinion, we can study and pray to understand and not be idle in this material world like we've got all the time in the world, right? Maybe I'll do this and maybe I'll do that. And maybe I'll go back to my mother and maybe I'll go back to my old girlfriend and maybe I'll come back and stick around, go back in the body of Mahavishnu, become unmanifest for a few more million years. Is that a good idea? Is that a good proposition? When I would say that Srila Prabhupada came risking his life to New York on a freighter ship. Who travels by freighter ship? He was so urgent, right? He had great urgency for our sake, right? To pick us up from this aimlessly, what he called loitering in the material world. So I want to share with you another verse from Bhagavad Gita. There's a very enticing, I think, description of samadhi in Bhagavad Gita, 6th chapter, verses 20 through 23. See if you can wrap your head around being attracted and enticed by this description of samadhi. Here it is. This perfection is characterized by one's ability to see the self by the pure mind and to relish and rejoice in the self. This is optimism, right? Spiritual optimism. In that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness, realized through transcendental senses. Established thus, one never departs from the truth. And upon gaining this, he thinks that there is no greater gain. Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken, even in the midst of the greatest difficulty. This indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact, right? So I would say that's real optimism. So doesn't that sound attractive and enticing? And my proposition to all of you is that, can we try for that rather than assigning samadhi to some unknown future date? Maybe never, maybe work now, and samadhi maybe never, right? Just keep on becoming manifest and unmanifest again and again in the body of Mahavishnu, mindlessly rotating around the universe, up and down and around and around and around. So one thing I was thinking is that inattentive japa seems to me to be a time waster. We're not really calling out to Krishna. My mind is wandering all over the universe for about 2 hours every day if I'm trying to do 16 rounds at least. And, there is some benefit to mindlessly chanting, but it might take 300 years or something like that. So there are 3 types of inattentive chanting. One is when we're just kind of sleepy and we just keep falling asleep and we just can't seem to wake up to put our minds to the chanting, our hearts to the chanting. That's one kind. Second kind is distraction, when we've got our little devil with us, our little smartphone, and we keep checking our smartphone, or maybe we're checking email. You know, I think it's a great idea to not have your phone even in the room with you when you're chanting. What I've been trying to do myself is get up early enough so I can have all my rounds completed before the day starts, before I even have to look at my phone. So, you know, sometimes you have to rush off to work or something, but it's a nice goal to set. But in any case, try to not have that phone with you. Don't be checking email. Don't be checking anything, but trying to check in with Krishna, right? So that's distraction. And then the third one is described as just a type of apathy, that I'm not really falling asleep. I'm not really distracted, but I just really don't care that much. I'm just really not putting my heart into this. I don't really see the benefit of it, right? Like, we don't really understand the glories of Krishna's name, right? So this kind of inattentive chanting is a symptom of an inattentive life, when we just kind of go around distracted, half there, half here, half there. But the fact is, we have the same spiritual quality as Krishna, eternity and wisdom and joy, but we're so tiny that we get covered by Maya. We get attracted to the material creation, Maya's playground. So here's a sweet story. Once somebody asked Srila Prabhupada, what is the purpose of life? And Srila Prabhupada gave such a surprising answer. He said this amazing thing. He said, to enjoy. Isn't that funny that he said that? He said, to enjoy. But then he started to explain, the problem is we're trying to enjoy separately from Krishna, and we want to dominate nature. We want to dominate the material nature as false enjoyers. But at the same time, Krishna keeps inviting us to come and play with him, to enjoy with him in his Vrindavan playground. So much fun, so much joy in eternity. Wow. And it's even beyond knowledge. Like we talk about eternity, bliss, and knowledge. It's even beyond knowledge, that play in Vrindavan, because the Vrindavan residents, they keep forgetting that Krishna is even God. They don't even care that he's God, right? So Vrindavan, that Goloka Vrindavan, is described as a place where all speaking is singing, all walking is dancing, where the flute is the favorite companion. And the gopis, they keep complaining about that flute, because that flute keeps stealing the nectar of Krishna's lips, which they consider to be their own property. And then at the same time, the cowherd boys keep jumping on Krishna's back, wrestling with Krishna. And the gopis are joking around, teasing Krishna, and Krishna is playing with his cows, scratching the cows. And, you know, this Krishna, this original Supreme Personality of Godhead, who's the source of all the universes and all the Vishnu expansions in the material world, he just wants to play like a simple, barefoot, dusty village boy, right? It's so beautiful. And Mother Yasoda, she wants him to wear shoes when he goes out to the pastures, because she's afraid that his feet will get pricked by pebbles or by thorns. But he refuses. He has this argument with his mother. He refuses to wear shoes, he tells her, unless she can provide shoes for each of the 4 feet of all of his thousands of cows. She can't, right? So, yeah, Krishna's arguing with his mother, teasing the gopis, teasing the cowherd boys. They're teasing him back. So Krishna's inviting us, but we say, no. I'd rather hang around in the material world for a few more million years, becoming manifest and unmanifest, going in and out of the body of Mahavishnu, wasting my life, wasting my time, loitering on the corner or at home, hanging out, gossiping with my relatives. So, yeah, I want to share you something why not take it seriously? You know, that's the question here. Why not take it seriously? Here's something really beautiful Srila Prabhupada said in a lecture in 1969. He said, you are searching out friends to talk with, to joke with, to love. Krishna is sitting there for that purpose. If you love Krishna, If you make friendship with Krishna, if you love Krishna, your life will be successful. You haven't got to search out any other friend. The friend is already there. Either you are a boy or a girl, you will find a nice friend within yourself. That is the yoga system. When you realize this friend, so this friend is so nice. As soon as you become a little inclined to hear about him, then he quotes Sanskrit, Shrinvata Swakata Krishna. That's from the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto. He says, then this Krishna will be so pleased. So let me see. I have one other nice quote. Let me share this too. I keep saying, why not take it seriously, right? Here's another one from Raghunath Das Goswami. He's praying to his mind. He's beseeching his mind, begging his mind. He says, my dear brother, O mind, having given up all pride, please develop unprecedented and excessive attachment to Sri Guru, to Sri Vrindavan, the abode of cows, to the devotee residents of Vrindavan, to all the devotees on this planet, to the confidential mantra given by Sri Guru, to the holy names of Shri Radha Krishna, and to the process of surrendering to the fresh, youthful couple of Raja, Radha and Krishna. Oh, my mind, he says, holding your feet, I beseech you with sweet words. So this is the first verse of Raghunath Das Goswami's Manasiksha. So thank you all so much. And what are your reflections? Or if you have a question, let's alternate between one of the men Prabhus or one of the lady Prabhus. Ladies are also Prabhus. So what do you all think? Do you have any thoughts on this? Do you think we should continue loitering, or do you think we should finish our business and get out?
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mother, for the wonderful Krishna Katha, as always. So the word is, if anyone has something to say, please, you may indicate by using the hand emoji or your physical hand, and you'll be asked to unmute to speak. All right, so Surabi Govinda Devi, please, you may unmute.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for a most beautiful talk, Rukmini Prabhu.
Thank you.
So I think the idea of not wasting time and have that sense of urgency is definitely the thing to have and hold on to. For me, I went through this as I retired from my job, and then I felt there was this sense, and I went on lots of yatras and started reading, like doubled down on everything. And that continues, but it feels like as you open more and uncover more, there's constantly even more depth. So, and then your sense of catching up seems to go like, okay, but I now need to catch up even more. It's like a kind of like an overwhelming growth that sometimes it itself becomes an nadi. It becomes like, where is that? It's like an nadi itself. There's no, where does this go? So I just wondered I can understand why it's there and like that. I wondered, how do we walk the path knowing and managing that as well so it doesn't overwhelm?
Thank you. Such a beautiful introspective question, as usual from you. I think it's a matter of going deeper and deeper and deeper, because there are unlimited universes to explore in the material world, and there are uncharted realms within us and in the deeper realms of Krishna consciousness. One nice prayer when you're chanting the holy name is to ask Krishna to show me the next step. So I think it's a step-by-step process. I don't have to take on the whole entire realm of all existence, unlimited existence at once, but I can pray to Krishna, show me my next step. How can I go deeper in what I'm reading or in my chanting? Haridas Thakur says in the Harinam Chintamani that someone who's serious is always praying to Krishna to chant attentively and always trying to pray to Krishna chant clearly and attentively and pray to Krishna. So, and then he says something really interesting. He says, someone who doesn't do this is very unfortunate. So I think that exploration of the uncharted territories is about going deeper. And it's about going deeper step by step, not overwhelming ourselves like I'm going to take on the whole spiritual universe at once, but step by step. I think maybe that's an authentic answer. Thank you for your very deep question. Great.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So this time we had a woman who jumped in front. So what about one of the guys? Are you out there, guys? Would you like to have a reflection or a question?
Well, okay, Shrimara Prabhu, please. You may unmute.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. My humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare
All
Krishna.
glories to all the assembled devotees. Thank you very much for the wonderful discourse on Krishna Katha. You quoted Srila Prabhupada as answering that the purpose of life is to enjoy. And I love that. Really like that. And it kind
Don't
of
often hear that, right? We don't often hear that.
It answered a question that was asked yesterday. A question was asked yesterday, and it was debated for some time. I was listening to both sides, and I really didn't have a chance to contribute. So the question was, so how come Krishna wants to enjoy, and in this material world is full of suffering, and then it is mentioned that Krishna created us for enjoyment, for his enjoyment. So what is he enjoying, seeing our suffering and all the sufferings here? So I think that was the question, if I paraphrase it very well. What enjoyment did Krishna find in the suffering going on in this material world?
It seems.
So
it really seems.
Yeah. So anyway, I think this your statement, quoting Prabhupada, throws some light, and I think I would like to hear from you how to synchronize these two ideas. So Krishna actually created. Purpose of creation is for the enjoyment of Krishna, and at the same time, there's a lot of suffering going on in the material world. So how is he enjoying that? Can you explain?
Thank you. Thank you for that. I think this is probably all of our question, right? Why is there so much suffering? I mean, all the religions of the world ponder this, and the theologians ponder this and write books about it. So the thing is that, great question, important question. You know, the thing is, we're trying to enjoy in the realm where where we are in a temporary existence, you know? But this realm, this material world is not the right place for trying to enjoy. And what all the sadhus, the holy people, you know, like Jesus Christ, what did he say? He said, don't put your treasures where moth and dust will corrupt, right? So all the great holy teachers all over the world are pointing to that spiritual realm, the realm where we can really find friendship and community and love and dance and song and play. And they're pointing us out of this material world. And the fact is that the suffering in this material world has a very, very important purpose, because we're so lazy and we just want to keep loitering around here forever and ever, becoming manifest, unmanifest, unmanifest. And we just want to keep loitering here. But what happens is the suffering in this world gives us what Srila Prabhupada calls a little pinprick. I love it that he uses that term, pinprick. Like, you know, if you're sitting at home and you're kind of lazy, maybe you're watching TV or whatever, and somebody comes up to you, one of your family, maybe one of your kids wants to tease you, or your family members pokes you with a pin, you go, oh, ouch, right? And all of a sudden you wake up from the laziness. So these different sufferings, the small ones and the big ones, and ultimately each of us has to face death in this world, right? But death is also an illusion. I remember being at a funeral and one of my friends turned to me and said, "This is so surreal. I was just talking to him yesterday." So yeah, death is surreal. It's not real. And so it's surreal because in this realm, we're not meant to be eternally enjoying. We're meant to wake up. So those little sufferings or the greater sufferings cause us to reassess our lives, reassess where we want to place our energy, where we want to place our intention and our prayer, not in this world where moth and dust will corrupt. So I hope that's a helpful answer. I feel like, can we really even get it without suffering? Like, are we willing to get it without suffering? I don't know. I don't think we really get it unless there's some little pinpricks along the way. Maybe wise people like you, Varaha Prabhu, can get it without the pinpricks. But for myself, I would say, whoa, I need those pinpricks to remind me that this place is temporary. It's not my home. And real enjoyment is with Krishna. Thank you. What else? How about something from a lady Prabhu this time?
Yes.
Lady who has a reflection.
Yeah. Please, Mrs. Sarah, you may unmute.
Hi, Hare Krishna. I'm
Hi,
so grateful to be in your association. It's so nice to have met you.
Thank you.
I don't know if I have so many questions, but I just kind of have like some reflections. But it's just kind of interesting. I really feel like Krishna wanted me to be in this class today.
Wonderful.
Because normally I'm working today, but today I make my own schedule and I took the day off. And I got the notification on Urban Devi to join this. And I was like, okay, cool, perfect. And so much of what you're talking about are things that have like come up in the past like week or so. And like, there's just so many things that have happened even during this class that I've been like, oh my gosh, like that's crazy. Like I grabbed my book and I opened it up and I opened it right to the verse. And
wow.
You were also talking about the Nectar of Devotion, the Ecstatic Love chapter. And I just started watching some Indrajumna Swami videos of him like specifically talking about that chapter and like elaborating on Krishna's paraphernalia. And it's just, I don't know, it's just so interesting. But
synchronicity, huh? Synchronicity.
Yeah.
Call it Krishna magic.
It's not an accident. And but I was just kind of thinking about in the purport of the Bhagavatam verse, where it says, it's talking about how like even though his like impersonal feature exists, that doesn't mean his like personal feature doesn't exist.
Right.
And I'm also in the beginning of studying, I'm in like the first 10 verses of chapter 10 of Bhagavad Gita. And I feel like this chapter is super interesting because while the personal form of Krishna is like speaking about all of his impersonal forms, I just find that like juxtaposition is really interesting, and kind of how, you know, he's giving you all of this impersonal things to kind of focus on so that you can think of him everywhere.
In nature, everywhere in nature, right?
And how he's telling us to focus on his impersonal form while being in his personal form. And I just find that like, I think that's kind of ironic that he's doing that.
So both are there, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then also something I've been struggling with so much, and you know, is wasting time. I feel like I've only been maybe seriously practicing Krishna consciousness for about a year now. I was introduced like almost 2 years ago, but I was just kind of like dipping my toes in for a little while. But now I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna do this now, you know? So I really struggle with wasting time. Like for the longest time, I wasn't really reading. I was doing mostly listening. And also my partner, he's very, very you know, he's very into Krishna. Like he's so devoted to Krishna, and I feel like he's given me and he's given me so much with his with the depth of his knowledge. So I feel like Krishna's being very merciful to me, and he's giving me a lot, even though I feel like I'm not doing that much. Like I'm not endeavoring that much to connect with Krishna. I feel like he is giving me so much, but now I feel like I'm finally taking the steps to like read more, and I feel like it's really helping me. But japa is something that I have such a back and forth relationship with. Like sometimes I do a really good job of like doing it, and then other times it just, I'm not connecting and I'm really inattentive, and it makes me feel so bad. And it almost makes me like not want to do it at all, because I feel like I'm doing it bad. But I feel like even if I'm doing bad japa, I'm still doing japa. So I'm just trying to like, I'm really trying to pray and really try to like ask for help in that way. So
that's beautiful. That's the way. That's the path, because we can't really do it on our own. We can't really do anything on our own, especially when it comes to japa. We're just praying to Krishna, just show me the next step and help me fix my mind on you. And at the same time, we don't want to be beating ourselves up. I like to give the example. It's kind of like when you're talking to the mind, like the last thing I read, that Prayer to the Mind by Raghunath Das Goswami. So talking to the mind is kind of like talking to a 2-year-old, or like the Buddhists say, the monkey mind, right? Yeah. So, when your mind starts that distraction, when you're chanting, you have to, just like dealing with the 2-year-old, you say, we're not going to talk about that now. Right now we're chanting Krishna's name, and we can talk about that later. And just very gently, like a little cow, like you would shepherd a little cow, the Lord is my shepherd, right? Yeah. Shepherd that little cow of the mind back to Krishna, and just keep trying. I know my husband tells the story that when he first started chanting, he was so frustrated, he just wanted to throw the beads across the room and never even touch them again. Yeah. So we tend to beat ourselves up, but it's a practice of a lifetime, and we've been turning away from Krishna for so many lifetimes. So now the process of turning toward Krishna, it's going to take some time. So we have to be patient with ourselves. It deserves a little self-compassion. Mm-hmm. You can say to your little mind, your own self, you can say, darling, come back. Come back to Krishna's name. Yeah. And just keep trying again. Every time it wanders away, don't beat yourself up. Just try again. Mm-hmm. And just try, can I listen to one whole mantra without my mind wandering? Wow, thank you, Krishna. And we can, in some places it says, we can only do it with Krishna's help. So you're doing the right thing by asking Krishna for his help. So thank you for your practice. Thank you for your introspection. Thank you for your trying. Mm-hmm. We just keep trying. And keep the association of people who are serious, like your partner. That's the best thing. When we're in the association of people who are serious, that it helps us be serious. When we're hanging out with the loiterers, in front of the, on the corner, then it doesn't help, right?
Yeah, it's good. I do have a nice community. I've like created a little community of like devotee association, because it's been great. Well, Jagai.
Yeah, please offer him my respects. He's great.
I will. Yeah, he's my teacher. Yeah, I'm in Long Beach, so I'm always with Jagai. We're texting this morning too.
I'll offer him my respects. Thank you, Sarah. Let's take another question, maybe from one of the male Prabhus, if there's a question from one of the male Prabhus. Thank you, Sarah. That was great.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Sarah. Well, I have a question, Mother.
Okay.
Okay. So my question is actually like you answered partly, because it's a continuation to Ms. Sarah's, I don't know whether it's assertion or acknowledgement, but you were talking about the 3 different ways that inattentive chanting come about. Right. Being sleepy, being distracted, and being apathetic. And there is one book I read some time ago in my high school days. It says, while life is whipping you, rain also pours down to beat you some more. So I'm actually struggling here in this material world. I'm trying to practice devotional service in my own little way, but I'm suffering from all these three different problems you listed.
Yes.
I don't usually have enough sleep, so when I start chanting, I feel sleepy. And talking about the phone, I almost always have my phone on me. And at the very moment I start chanting, that is when different thoughts occur to me to look this, to check that, to look this, to check that. And oftentimes when I chant, I'm chanting because my guru told me to finish 16 rounds. So it's more or less like apathetic, like I'm not chanting like, hey, I'm communicating with the Lord. So how do you help me with all these three different problems I'm having in my devotional life? Thank you, Mother. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for your honest vulnerability. You know, I think each one of us struggles with those three. And, you know, I mean, Prabhupada says 6 hours of sleep at night. Personally, I need 7 hours of sleep or I can't really function. So try to get to sleep early, you know, get rid of the distractions that keep you up late at night. You know, it also helps not to have a big meal at night. So that's one thing that helps sleepiness that I would say. Distraction, hey, just lock that phone in the other room. You have a safe, lock it in the safe. Lock it in another room. Don't have it next to you. Because as soon as it's next to you, you're going to think, oh, I need to call my sister, my mother, my brother, or, you know, some job. Oh, I'm supposed to get this done. And don't even have it there. And try to get up early enough so that the world's still sleeping. That's the real sacred time, when the world's still sleeping. And all those calls aren't coming in. Don't even have it in the room. Don't even be next to your computer. Go in another room and do all those sacred things you can do to help concentration. You can light some candles. You can light some incense. Have a beautiful picture that you love of Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, your Guru Maharaj. Have your Guru Maharaj looking at you, and then you'll be inspired. And then apathy. I think that's a matter of crying to Krishna that I have no desire for this Krishna consciousness. I just want to keep loitering in this material world. So help me, Krishna. Give me some speck of desire to come to you. And Krishna will reciprocate. Because, you know, I always like to say that Krishna is just sitting in our hearts, kind of unemployed, loitering, you would say, but he's waiting for us to turn to him. And if we don't turn to him, then he's just still sitting there, no matter what body we travel in. But if we turn to him, then he'll reciprocate. He wants to know, what do you want? He's waiting to see, Sahadev Prabhu, what do you want? Do you want to be distracted? Do you want to be in apathy? Do you want to be asleep? Or do you want me? Right? So he's waiting. So how will we answer his call? So that would be my answer. And you're not alone. So again, self-compassion. Be compassionate to yourself. Don't beat yourself up. We're all imperfect human beings trying to be on this path. And every day we fall off, and every day we try again. Every day we try to pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and try again. Take one step, one other step, one other step. So I'm in the same boat, and let's just travel together to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. I hope that's helpful. Thank you.
Very helpful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Who else? Has somebody else?
We'll prefer to have a Mataji alternate, yes.
Any Mataji? Even if it's not a question, maybe it's just a reflection. Was there anything that you found helpful in this class about not gossiping with relatives over the back fence, or loitering on the corner, or anything at all? Inattentive chanting as a symptom of an inattentive life. Anything anybody wants to reflect? Or maybe we're done for today. We've been on for about an hour. Maybe
we have one hand up that is coming from a Prabhu.
All right. Well, ladies are Prabhus also, but
Yeah.
we'll take since no ladies are reflecting anything, we'll go with your reflection, Prabhu.
So, Dr. Hassan, please, you may unmute.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Mother, please accept my humble respect of essences. All glory to Gurudev, all glory to Srila Prabhupada, and all glory to the Assembly devotees. Actually, I love your name, Mother Rukmini. I don't know the meaning of that. I just love the name.
Rukmini. Thank you.
Yeah,
It rhymes
Rukmini.
with zucchini, though. Rukmini rhymes with zucchini.
Yes, but I have a question, and I think my question is related to His Grace Sade Prabhu and Mataji Sarah. I have this same problem. When I'm chanting is when the answers I need to solve some certain situation comes in, and it's a very, very big struggle for me. So, and sometimes when I'm chanting is where I find out that something is not in the right place. So I have to put it in the right place. This has been going on for some time. So like 3 weeks ago, I have this wonderful dream. I was with my godbrother, Devi, and we went to meet my Guru Maharaj, and he was very, very happy to see us, but he chastised me. He used a certain word which we don't know the meaning, and we asked him, what is the meaning of that? And he said that you love to chant, but you always keep touching some things, which is not good. So I tell him the dream, and he was very happy that I shared the dream with him, and he said that I have to follow the instructions, because actually I was very, very happy that he chastised me. But the problem I have is that every time I'm chanting and this come in, I'm beginning to think about him that he chastised me. So, and also I was like, why this keep coming, you know? And I tried to ask Krishna to help me, but at the same time, I'm beginning to feel that if I'm not be able to feel the instruction of my spiritual master, why do I qualify to ask Krishna for this help? So in this situation, do I have to pray to my spiritual master, or do I have to pray to Krishna to help me in this situation? This is my question. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, such a sincere question. Thank you so much. Actually, you have double blessings, right? You have blessings from your Guru Maharaj and you have blessings from Krishna. So pray to them both, Pray to them both. I can't do this without your help. I'm so small. I keep getting distracted by stuff. First of all, when you're chanting, try to get rid of all the stuff that doesn't need to be in that room. Try to have a peaceful atmosphere. And then pray to your Guru and Krishna. I can't do this without your help. Please help me, because I'm so small and you're so great. I can only do this with your help. I think this is just the cry of the heart of a very sincere devotee. I can't do this without your help. Think about it in the opposite way. Someone who's very proud, who doesn't want to take shelter of Krishna, think, I can do this myself. I don't need your help. That's just pride and arrogance and forgetfulness. Because the fact is, this is our position in this world. We cannot do actually anything without the help of Krishna, of Super Soul, of Guru Maharaj. So, just get all those double blessings, triple blessings. You can pray to Lord Nityananda. You can pray to Radharani. Once Radharani's appearance day is coming up, Prabhupada said, if you have a sincere prayer, put it in the hand of Radharani, because she's more compassionate than Krishna. So, double blessings, triple blessings. Just pray to everyone to help you. And if you see any sincere, serious devotee who's in your life, ask them for advice too. Prabhu, what can I do? I have so many problems with this. I have so much stuff in my room. I don't know, can't concentrate. Get rid of the stuff. Make it a nice, clean, peaceful, simple atmosphere for your chanting. Lock your phone in the other room. Get rid of your computer, put it away, and just have nice picture of Krishna, picture of your Guru Maharaj, and cry to them, cry to everybody, and ask for help. This is the mood of a sincere devotee, you know. Even in Krishna Loka, the cowherd boys, when they're in trouble, this is what they do. They cry, Krishna, Krishna, Mahabaho. It means almighty armed Krishna. Only you can help your devotees when they're in trouble. So just go for all the help that's available. I say pray to everybody. You can pray to the sun in the morning when it rises. Let me see, help me to chant, you know. So
Yes, thank you so much. And the one of the difficult parts is that when you are not chanting, the answers you need did not come. But when you begin to chant, is when the answers come. So it's make it so confusing.
right. So just put it aside and say, you know, later for that. Right now we're chanting, and after you chant, then you can have some moments of silence. You can write something in a journal, that answer that came that you were looking for. It's so true, right? Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mother. Hare Krishna.
Very well. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much, Sahadev, for hosting this lovely association of devotees that we can zoom into, even though we don't have an airplane and we don't have a ticket to Ghana. So I'm so glad.
Well, Mrs. Sarah, please, you may unmute.
Oh, Sarah. Great.
Yes.
This is Surabhi Govinda Prabhu.
Oh, Surabhi. Okay.
Surabhi, sorry. Yes.
Yeah. So I just on the same theme as we talked about the last 3 times. Of the 3 time wasters and the wandering mind, one of those was the apathy, which I think Sahadev Prabhu also pointed out. But so I was thinking about this, and I was thinking that really it is the free will that allows us to overcome our own apathy. And it's also the root of the first 2, the sleepiness and the distraction. Mm-hmm. Although we put it number 3, and I always read them, and then I realized, well, I should put this first, because once I overcome that, then I've got a better chance with the next 2. So that was just my realization. I was listening to the last 2 Prabhus since and Sarah early on. So thank you.
Absolutely, because apathy, what is it? It's just a lack of faith. It's a lack of trust in Krishna. Krishna's not really going to help me. His holy name doesn't really have any potencies. I just don't really believe it. I'm just going to be stuck here forever, rotating around in this material world. It's a lack of faith. It's a lack of trust in Krishna. So you're absolutely right. It's sort of more of the root of the others. So let's cry to Krishna to love him and to serve him and have faith in him and trust him. You know, we can trust him more than we can trust ourselves. And we can trust ourselves when we cooperate with him, make our lives harmonious with his love. Right? Thank you so much. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much for the questions and the realizations devotees have shared. But Mother, I don't know if it will be okay for you to when I used to read, I still read, but not as much, but when I used to read BTG, Back to Godhead, my most favorite section is Srila Prabhupada Speaks Out.
Nice. I'm glad you love Prabhupada.
Yes. And at the moment, one of my favorite go-to is Srila Prabhupada's memories.
Wonderful.
Srila Prabhupada's disciples have been sharing lots of memories of Srila Prabhupada. And if you wouldn't mind, because I watched actually, when you were 16 years old, and usually we say sweet 16. No, if you're 16, that is when you begin to enjoy this material world. But you were 16 and you heard of Srila Prabhupada, and you traveled all the way from US to Canada by yourself. And I understand when Srila Prabhupada got to know that you had traveled from US to Canada to see him all by yourself, Srila Prabhupada was happy, but at the same time, he was very much concerned that you're such a excuse me, say young girl, of course, at the time, how did you travel all the way here by yourself? So if you wouldn't mind, if you may share that pastime and how much you learned or appreciated Srila Prabhupada's compassion and caring spirit. So we may also learn from it, if it's okay with you, if only it's okay with you. Hare Krishna.
Very beautiful question. You know, I was in San Francisco and I was with the devotees in San Francisco, and 6 of them, the famous 6, were on their way to London to open the temple in London, to create a temple in London. Their intention was to meet the Beatles, which they did. So I actually missed the flight that they were on, and I was on the next flight or some after flight, but I sort of came by myself. But Prabhupada was in Montreal at that time, and so we all came to Montreal. They were coming to get Prabhupada's blessings, and I was coming to get initiation from Srila Prabhupada. And at that time, you know, everybody, if you could just say, Prabhupada would say, actually, we didn't even call him Prabhupada at that time, we called him Swamiji. And he would say, well, who is Krishna? And if you could say, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then you were qualified to be initiated. So there wasn't a very high bar at that time. But yeah, I mean, you know, Prabhupada was not only compassionate to his little band of ragtag followers, he was also compassionate to the parents we left behind. And actually, maybe in answering that question, I can share one little story about this. The first devotee they made in London, his name is Kula Shekhar. In 1969, Kula Shekhar brought his father to meet Prabhupada, and they had a nice discussion. And then some years later, like maybe 7 or 8 or 9 years later, Kula Shekhar was in New Vrindavan serving there. And Prabhupada asked him, he hadn't seen him for so long, and Prabhupada said, how is your father? Which is so amazing after so many years. Prabhupada meets so many people, travels all over the world, and he remembered Kula Shekhar's father. And Kula Shekhar, I might have told this story on this chat before, but anyway, Kula Shekhar said, oh, Prabhupada, my father, he's just a karmi, wasting his life in the material world, working like an ass. And Prabhupada said, oh, you should never speak about your father like that. See, Prabhupada's compassion to the father who's not even a devotee, right? He said, you should never speak about your father like that. He said, your father is my friend, and you should always be very respectful to your father. Yeah, I think I mentioned this story last time. So let's make our compassion like Prabhupada's compassion and have it extend to include all the animals, all living beings, all the people who are turning away from Krishna, as we've done for so long, as I do every day. So try to share that compassionate mood of Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for such a beautiful question, Sahadev Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mother. Thank you so much. So we're going to humbly request all the devotees to kindly unmute, and we all chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra so loudly to express our appreciation to Mother Rukmini's love and wisdom shared with us today. Please. Jai. Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Panchakarpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhyascha, Siddhanam Vaishnavibhyo, Vaishnavibhyo.
Thank you all for
Anantakoti
being
Vaishnava
here.
Vrinde ki jai. Our grace Mother Devi Dasi ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mother, thank you so much.
Hare Ram. Nice to meet you, Sarah. Hare Krishna.
Nice to meet you too.
Hare Krishna,
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So we would like to end today's Sangha with one beautiful TOVP video. You know, Srila Prabhupada wanted us to build this planetarium, and the devotees are doing all we can. So this is just to encourage all of us to put in our weight in whichever shape or form to make this a reality. So we're going to share that, and then finally we'll bring this to a close. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Namaste.